The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience Desert Classic Bets Preview. One and done and everything that you need to know, plus a recap of the Sony Open. The big news is the PME Open DraftKings Listeners League. If you want to get in, it's a 3-max, $15 entry. It filled up so quickly last week. By the time the video came out, the contest was already full. So they doubled the size this week. So let's fill it just as quickly so we can get it bigger and bigger and bigger. The demand needs to be there if we want to get more of it. So 500 entries this week. If you hit the description of this video or podcast, it is in there. Now, the podcast, the audio podcast, always comes out like an hour to an hour and a half before the video because, newsflash, audio, much easier to process and upload than video. So the audio listeners are always going to have first crack at this. So even if you are a video watcher, you should subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast, whether you have an Android or an Apple phone. You can get it on either one. So Stitcher, iTunes, Podomatic, Audio Boom, TuneIn, Spotify, it's all in there. So go check that out. Become a member of the contest because it was a lot of fun last week. A very flat payout structure. And there's no rake, so there's just more money for all of us to be had. It's the best golf contest on DraftKings, so you might want to enter. Geoff Fienberg is here. What's up?
I'm here.
You were in it last week. You did well.
Yeah, I listen. I just do the one entry. It was 3-max. I don't feel like I'm being cheated out of anything.
That's the whole thing. That's the reason that it's 3-max. Like I was thinking about single entry, but 3-max is more fun. Like I like to.
And
play
so
the three
yeah,
entries,
listen. There's people,
but you're not getting pounded by a guy with 150 lineups either.
And I think I more than doubled my money with a 5 for 6. And I didn't even have Kuchar in that lineup, so
I cashed with a 4 of 6. That was I had a bad week for that contest. I actually had a pretty good week on DraftKings overall, but I had a lot of Kuchar. I had a lot of Kuchar and Putnam in DraftKings. No Putnam on the card as it pertained to my betting sheet, though, so that created some tension as it pertained to Sunday. But a few giveaways. The winners from last week's draw, we have Tubasu, Bills Da Man, 88, Papa Hoffa, 78. Those were the 3 golf winners, the 3 football winners, Atoms with a Z, Fam Tom 000, and Lefty Clutch are the winners of $20 DK. Not sure if that's in your account, not or yet. I haven't got an email back, but you will eventually receive $20 DK. I guess the big thing too is winners everywhere. A lot of screenshots. So Fantasy National members last year, we had $2.3 million in screenshot winnings. So that's the minimum of what we saw. This week, 10K, 10K, 7.5K, 2K, 3K for daily fantasy. Just from Fantasy National members and viewers of this show. That's amazing.
a lot of viewers of the show I think did pretty good because
I got over 40 Matt Kuchar outright winner screenshots.
it was a very good week. You touted Kuchar. I was touting Putnam. We both had Leishman. So there was a lot of opportunities to make some good money.
Yes, and the winner of the PME contest last week was the Oil_man. He was the big winner, 655 points. I have Drew Matthews on the show tomorrow. We'll go over this a little bit more. We're going to start doing just like one lineup review, like how did you get to this? Not really for us to do. We're here to talk about betting, really. But the lineup was Justin Thomas, Andrew Putnam, Matt Kuchar, Chez Reavie, Ian Poulter, and Ryan Armel. A 6-6. Big winner, like won by a lot, too. And it would have done well in a lot of these contests. But the 7.5K came from a Fantasy National member who was third in the $5, and a Fantasy National member won 10K in the 153 max.
Yeah, no.
Won the whole thing.
Who came in third, Riku, he invited me to Baltimore to go to the game a couple weeks ago.
So good vibes.
And he was going to take me to the game in 100 beers. I mean, it only take me like 4. But, yeah. And he sent me on Christmas morning. His wife was sending him to the Masters Sunday.
But that's amazing.
Yeah, so he's, I guess...
He's living it up right now.
He's living it up, so good vibes.
All right, so congratulations to all the winners. I guess the other thing I probably should point out, I'm expecting to have a baby this week. I'm not going to have it. My wife doesn't like when we say we're having a baby. She's having the baby. I'm just going to be there for like moral support. So we're hoping happy, healthy, that sort of thing. But I'm going to try to be back for next Monday so we can do the Farmers. I'm not going to be here like full time, like every day. We have shows every day. We've Pat Mayo plans ahead. So there's plenty of shows. Like we have a Cuss Corner, the best of football season, one that you and I recorded with Tim from a while back. There's a new one with me, Tim, and Gary, which will come out. I have some really cool interviews with people from around the industry, how they got into it, plus some sort of evergreen stuff, some football stuff, some challenge stuff, best basketball movies, best combat sports movies, just all stuff that you could live anytime that I've been piling up over the past 6 months.
I know you will do all that is in your power to do as much as you possibly can for Torrey Pines.
Yes. First week at Tiger, I can't miss that.
I know, like,
It's
you
a big
even
week.
joke. That's almost like opening week in many ways.
It's like week 1 in football, yeah. Like the most eyeballs on this show are probably going to be that week, like compared to the first 3. Like the first 3 are basically write-off tournaments. No one really cares about golf all that much. The diehards care. We care. Obviously, we're already winning. It's fantastic news. But like the casuals, there's no football that week. Tiger's back. People know Torrey Pines. It'll be on CBS instead of just being on the Golf Channel. So I think it's a big week. People get very interested in it.
And it's the off football.
Yeah, it's the bye week of football. So it's the perfect
And
time.
the Royal Rumble.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble week. It's like you're 13.
Forever.
Wrestling.
Forever.
Let's talk about the Sony Open. Do you see the guy, the president and CEO of Sony, when he got his interview? Guy looked like he was having a great time.
I think I saw him on I don't know.
Kind of looked like Trump. He looked like a mix between Trump and Johnny Miller. And he was just wearing a Hawaiian shirt. It was fantastic.
Good for him.
And he was talking about 8K TVs. Your 4K, no longer any good. It's all about 8Ks when it comes to Sony. Now, I'm just going to wait for a 16K, and you can basically have it in like virtual reality 3D sets. But Kuchar wins. Kuchar was on the card. I always recommend that everyone pay attention to the betting cheat sheet that I release on Wednesdays on my Facebook page. That's where Kuchar popped up. We talked about it a little bit on the show. We didn't pull the trigger then, so it came later in the week. Rick talked me into him on the DraftKings show, and then boom. 40-1, cash the each way at 10-1. You hit Putnam, and the first time you ever played like an each way, it came through for you.
I'm trying this year to make a bit more of a concerted effort. And when we got done, I mean, I thought you had Kuchar and Putnam, so I thought you were sitting gold.
No, we talked about Putnam on the show, and here's what happened. Because we were going through all the odds, because I remember Tway was down there. I had bet Poulter right away at like 60, and Putnam was at 80. And we talked about it. Like, I like Putnam, and I did like Putnam. I thought he was fine. And then I just didn't bet it as soon as the show ended. And by the time I checked back in the next day, he was down to like 55. I was like, I feel like a loser for not getting the 80. I'm not going to bet it.
So I bet it at 80 on the each way. And then
So 20 to
I
1
saw
odds.
later that night, I guess, before you checked again, Cooley tipped him.
Then he went down even more?
So then I saw him at like 68 or 70, and I played it again, like I re-upped without an each way. But it gave me leverage as Sunday, I guess, played on. And I guess once Ben tips something,
Yeah, it goes through the roof.
it crashed.
So you like each ways now that you're a
I'm
winner with them.
far more into them, and then like how the week unfolded for me, because I didn't have Kuchar, even though I had him last week, and I played a lot of the guys I played last week. The only guy I think I played this week who didn't play last week that I bet was like Danny Lee. I was kind of really annoyed about that.
Danny Lee, in terms of raw DraftKings points, was the single best performer.
He didn't par a freaking hole.
Exactly. So it was fantastic for DraftKings scoring. Like I think he ended up coming like 69th in the field, but I think in terms of actual DraftKings points, he was like 30th. It was a huge difference between his finishing position and DraftKings points.
So, and I guess, Leishman, like I had a 20-1. I can't each way that. That's not in. So I'm getting used to doing this each way stuff.
I tend to do if it's 40-1 or above.
See, that still might be. See, you say above. My brain would tell me below.
Whatever. 40-1 and up.
Up. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
That's when I
See,
each
40
way.
seems a little low for me.
It's 10-1 on the each way. It's 10-1 for a top 5 on 40-1. And if I'm betting a guy at 40-1, I think that he has a legit chance of winning. Like a lot of times, like even if I had bet Putnam last week, a lot of that would have been tied up in the fact that I would get 20-1 for the top 5. 80-1 if he wins, that's fantastic. But 20-1 for a top 5 is great. If you were just to bet the top 5 without the each way, it probably would have been like 12-1. Like you get a lot of value in those top 5s with the each way as opposed to single.
I'm committed to doing more each ways. I haven't decided where my breaking point is, though, where I pull the each way.
I don't,
because to me, a guy 40-1, I don't. Okay,
you don't want a 10-1 winner?
My initial thought was like nothing like for sure under 50, but you have more experience in this, and you're, I don't know.
It can save your ass a lot of the time from like a big losing week, or you just win a little bit that week when nothing goes right, but you get one guy. And like for you this week, like you probably ended up winning.
So let me give
this
you
week.
my tragedy and trajectory.
Like, listen,
I
if you had
guess.
done it with Leishman this week, for whatever you bet, like the thing is you have to double your bet. So if you put like $100 on Leishman to win, you now either have to go 50 and 50
Okay.
or go 100 and 100 on the top 5. But he still would have paid 5-1. That's a nice win.
But I had double the bet swag. I guess that incorporate whatever, because last week was also pretty good. So here we are. How do I do this? I'll be quick because I don't really. It was so humbling. Like the Patriots just whipped the Chargers' ass. And if you know me, I was a good dad on Saturday. So I'm allowed to be the deadbeat on Sunday. My wife knows me well. And it got to one of those days where I'm just going to be a deadbeat. Other than the fact that some people wanted to like go double or nothing with me on the second half of the game, who made bets, which I accommodated and won, I had no interest because it was really painful. And it was a great season. The better team won. Hopefully they can learn from that. They won 4 games.
we're gonna talk about this on the football show.
No, I know, but I'm just moving through the trudge. So the game is essentially over. And even before it's over, I've already started...
You went into golf mode?
Golf mode. There's no golf mode, Pat. It's like a concoction making. And I don't really care to get into the ingredients of it. But it's done. Like I'll go to the pillow with a movie, Mission Impossible 3. I actually pretty enjoyed the parts that I like remember being in.
Mission Impossible 3 with Philip Seymour Hoffman? In the
No.
Whisper Drive?
Maybe not 3 because there have been more. The new
There's
one.
like 6 now.
Sorry, the new one.
I haven't seen it. I heard it's very good.
Yeah, no, I really liked it. I don't really remember the second half, but the parts like before I started melting into my pillow were great. So because I just gotta let the day go away, and I appreciate people being concerned, like I actually might harm myself. That's creepy. They don't know me well enough to like.
You're joking.
What do you mean?
Like when you say you're gonna throw yourself down a flight of stairs.
No,
no one really thinks. People actually do think you throw yourself down a flight of stairs.
Okay, that's a different level because that's if I can't watch the game, that's actually a real thing. But I would never actually want to hurt myself because they lost the game.
Okay.
You know, like those are two very different things. Yeah. So the game's over, and I tell my buddy who I do the football with, or some of the guys I was with, but that knows golf. Here's my situation. I'm winning X on Putnam if he can just win this tournament. I'm giving you this much. Here's my account. There's this much in there. I need you to bet this on Kuchar if there's an opportunity. This is before the leaders have even teed off because they don't even tee off till like an hour after that first football game.
I think it was like 5:30 Eastern.
And he's down 2, and I'm certainly not laying. I only have Putnam. I'm not dumb enough to lay like 180 or 200.
It was minus 200 on Kuchar to begin the day.
Okay, yeah, I'm like not that dumb. But if there's an opportunity, I said like even like 130, like you could start thinking, just like be me.
Monitor it.
Yeah, and so as he explained it to me, because I really didn't see it, I only like woke up like late in a blur and a haze, and I just saw like a running clip of like Kuchar fist bumps. So I assumed he won, and I was told he made a lot of fist pumps late.
There's 3 in a row. Yeah.
So yeah, okay, so maybe that's like the montage that I like in the haze, like woke up, like who won, like whatever. He told me he got me the second best number, which was essentially a pick'em. That when Putnam was up 1, he was still afraid because other guys were charging. That he didn't want to commit to me at taking Kuchar at like +1, like 25 or +130,
and have Swafford or Bryson or one of those guys catch
he said
up.
Bryson at the time, like he just felt like he was like 14 under before getting to the back 9, and they said he got really scared that like Shez or Swafford like really late or. I also had Leishman, so we weren't concerned there. But I just sort of got the play-by-play this morning. So he couldn't get me the best number because when the best number was available, there was still a big concern that neither Kuchar or Putnam could win. As unrealistic as it felt like after the fact.
There was a point because Kuchar bogeyed 3 of the first 5 holes. He did make 1 birdie in there, then he got down by the 1. And
but when they're tied...
But he just wasn't playing well. It looked like he was imploding.
But when they're tied early... You can't make that bet yet because, like, there's still too many holes for both of them to go sideways.
Completely agree. And it didn't look like Kuchar was going to win. And then all of a sudden he got to, like, hole 7, it just flipped, and he was good again.
Well, kind of like it seems like 8 through, like, 14 are really, like, bread and butter holes there for him. I don't know. I guess if you're if you're hitting it well, they're all pretty.
Yeah, and he was like the only player in the field to finish top 10 in like off the tee approach and putting.
Like if
he was striking like the Putnam was fucking Putnam.
He just made par putts, right?
The one that pissed me off the most is Kuchar finally got it back to even with him, and I was like, good God, man, like Putnam's all over the place, and he's making these stupid like 25-foot putts, just putting from everywhere. Everything is going in, like it was day one for him when he gained like 9 strokes putting. That was the only reason he was in that tournament. Is because he was making every single putt. There was a par 3. Kuchar stuck it to like, I want to say 15 feet. So he had a birdie opportunity. Putnam's up next, gets the shaky knees because he's in the lead. Basically shanks it over the green into the rough. So Putnam's up first. He chips it. And he chips it to like just onto the fringe. So he has like a putt from the fringe, like 25 feet for par, drills it. Kuchar misses the putt. They're still tied. It could have been a 2-shot swing and it would have been basically over then. But all of a sudden, Putnam just making every putt. Then on the back 9, guess what? Putting flipped. Putnam didn't make them all. And then he loses by 4. Because Kuchar's hitting everything to 7 feet and making them all finally.
One thing I noticed about that place is every green has like, every hole has not just one area, but like 2 areas where you can get like a really flat putt. And that's sort of like what Bones, every time I was watching when it was on TV, which always starts later than...
It should.
It should, but that's a different...
Oh, wait till we talk about this week's tournament, the single worst tournament to watch on TV all year.
But what's insulting and infuriating to me is when there's actual real golf on. It's less infuriating when they're playing Bagger Vance than when they're showing yesterday's golf when real golf is happening.
They were showing web, like BahamasWeb.com.
I don't mind that. If that's in like real time or that hasn't aired yet or that's like fresh, fine. But you can't when live, and I'm not talking about like guys who've just teed off in like round 2 or round 3, but when it's like deep into the day, but it's not your coverage window yet, and you're still showing yesterday's golf. That works because my 75-year-old dad just needs to be on the couch and he doesn't care. He doesn't have a bed. He doesn't have a DK lineup. He's just watching the guys make great shots. That's all he cares. It could be last year's. You wouldn't know the freaking difference. And there's lots of... That's the majority. Us in this like bubble of bets and really taking a... Like we're still not the majority.
No, but we are very engaged viewers. So it's a very vocal minority of people. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now with legalized gambling in the States, people are going to find that golf betting is a whole lot of fun. The most fun of any sport. However, Friday night, because I was watching it on Friday night because I'm a big loser now and I'm just at home on Friday night watching golf. But they were just quick cutting in between shots. It was glorious. We were getting like 3 shots every minute. And then we get to Sunday, and we're watching Andrew Putnam, like, freak out on every single iron shot, like, trying to figure it out. So what they need to do, and they did this really well at the British Open on NBC, where you can stick with the leaders the entire time. I get that people want to see the leaders, and I'm someone who's just kind of a whore for everyone who's taking every shot in the field. But until they're actually hitting the ball, break them off into like a little split screen, like a little box in the top so you can stay with them.
Did a lot of that during the majors.
And then drop down to like, or even go full split screen and just show me shot, shot, shot.
Shot, shot, shot,
Shot,
shot,
shot, shot. I mean, that's a great word of advice for Golf Channel people.
I'd be like
The
a great
shot
commercial. And just like show us what you could do with that music playing.
Maybe that'll be my pitch to Golf Channel to hire me to be the online fantasy and gambling correspondent.
Scott, I'm trying to think of that Red Zone guy.
Oh, Scott Hansen? John Hansen?
Scott Hansen.
Red Zone of Golf. Hey, nice work stopping yourself from clicking the pen on the table.
Yeah, we're doing an audio recording.
So, any other thing from Sony? Bryson just couldn't putt again, but he was all over it.
He's so good.
Thomas was 5th in approach.
I like Snedeker putted with the flagstick in a bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people are joking, but they're looking for data. They're looking for data on the materials of the flagstick and how they can find that out beforehand. I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about like DFSers.
I don't know if it actually. Obviously, it's too small.
What, it's
of a
like
sample
fiberglass
size.
or what? Are they?
It's far too small of a sample to make any sort of conclusion on it whatsoever. But even Bryson has said he's like, I'm just doing this now to sort of get some test cases in. Like, is it? Like, he's not convinced it's beneficial for him to leave it in yet, but he's trying it out to see if it is, and then he can weigh his data against everything else. And I think it's just golf is so mental as it is that if it gives you peace of mind to have it in, you might just want to putt with it in. If it freaks you out that it's in there, go take it out. Like, that's honestly, I think what it comes down to. I don't know if there is any super significant advantage. I think on longer putts, it would be an advantage. But I have no idea. I do like seeing it, though.
I mean, listen, we've all, as amateurs, we've all been lucky enough when, we have a really, really long putt or we're kind of chipping and you do skull it for the most part and it's going there, but you need it to hit that flag to keep it from going like 20 feet. Pat, like you'll take the shit ricochet to 6 feet off because if it doesn't hit that flag, like it's steaming.
We have
steaming through.
We have a guy that we play with who is so bad. Actually, he's a lot better now, but when he first started playing, like he was horrendous. Like the guy, he would 10 putt every hole. Like he just had no tee to green. Like he wasn't good, but like
that sounds like me.
He
then.
wasn't a disaster. No, like he has no touch. Like if he was 45 feet away, he might hit the ball like 6 feet in front of him, like in fear of hitting it too far, and then he would just hit it too far. So we used to put the pin behind the hole, like 15 feet, that if it went zooming past, it would just hit the pin and stop there. So we didn't have to go into the rough to go find his ball. We want to speed up the round just a little bit. Kuchar paying his caddy, and the whole media blitz about like the story that came out. If people missed it, there was a report I think it was from Tom Gillis, of all people, that said that Kuchar only paid his caddy for the win at the OHL Mayakoba $3,000, and he won over $1 million. People freaked out. I think some of that got into his head early in the round. Like, he was just off. He didn't look like Kuchar at any other point in the week, and he didn't really hear about the story until he came off the course on Saturday. And I think it took him a while just to kind of get back into the zone because he was a bit rattled. I think that's what happened to him.
So I didn't hear about it till Sunday morning, so I don't know when it became a thing.
And this is also true, false, we don't know. It's just a claim.
My first reaction was like, oh my God, like there's no way that's true, with like a Leonardo DiCaprio gif of him like doing that, because like there's no way it's true. And then I made a joke like Kuchar just went from like the good guy to, he reminded me of like the bad guy in Blank Check.
Blank Check. Miguel Ferrer?
Sure. Like, I don't know, like Kuchar's doing what and so I made a joke about that. And then I went on to say, like, if it is true, if being the key word in the statement, I think, it's a scumbag move. And I guess I would stand by all of it. You might love it because you love bad guys. So you love any time. The only thing that like could be worse might be hitting. I don't think even hitting a moving ball, Kuchar would get the type of heat that he's getting for this. The one thing I do want to say
no one knows if it's true or not.
I do want to say it's an amazing attempt if it's not true. Kuchar's a real, like, it's not like this is a story about Rory Sabatini, who there are people that like just want to like bash or have bad feelings about.
It's not Robert
like
Allen.
When like Duffner was on, after he won the PGA years ago, and Howard Stern like pressed him because Howard Stern didn't give a shit about sports. Like, who's the biggest asshole? Who does everyone hate? And like Duffner finally relented and like said Sabatini, and like maybe gave a story where there's like an agenda, maybe like if there's a thread, like we'll pull it. Kuchar, like to try to turn Kuchar into mud or pile on him. That's an interesting test case, how to make him a bad guy with something that isn't like true, because everyone loves Kuchar. Do you get what I'm saying? I used way too many words.
No, I understand what you're saying. When he won, there was a lot of boos, but they could have been, it was the classic Burns versus Boo-Earn situation. They could have just been going, Cooch.
Like you, I do, like there's no way this guy should get 10%, but 3K seems beyond
so
insane.
Here are some things that could relate to this. And there was the popular opinion that was thrown out that he
can't pay him because this guy can't have like 30K on him.
It wouldn't have been 30K. It would have been 100.
No, that's the full rate.
But I mean, there's nothing set in stone to say that you have to pay your caddies 10%. That's just the going rate. Tiger never paid Stevie 10%, or else Stevie be like the second highest paid golfer in the world.
Stevie was like the 15th highest paid golfer in the world, even at his like probably 7% or whatever
less than
he
that.
was raking.
So the popular like pro Kuchar opinion was that they said it was $3,000, so like Buddy wouldn't get robbed when he went back to his house because he's a caddy at a Mexican course.
In a bad part of town.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Playa del Carmen. I wasn't on the resort where that was. I drove past, it looked super nice. But I stayed in like the touristy downtown area. But there was a clear line of demarcation in Playa del Carmen where it went from real nice to real sketchy. Like, don't go over there.
But did you see Kuchar like finally... The fact that Kuchar was so awkward and vague about it, too.
Kuchar said that he paid him somewhere in between the 10% and $3,000. But what if they had agreed upon the $3,000 beforehand and Kuchar missed the cut?
No, then that's fine.
So if that's
the low point. Yeah. Here's the thing. I get this guy didn't read a putt. I get this guy didn't do anything like golf related. But as you said before, golf is so weird and mental that the smallest little things can change. And maybe this guy laughed at the right time or didn't laugh at the right time or always had his mouth shut and did exactly what he was supposed to do. Either way, Kuchar won. I think I should have at least gotten like 30K. Am I crazy?
I mean, that's you. That's it. That's what you would give him.
And what's that? Like 3%?
Yeah, ish.
So maybe I'm still a scumbag. There's no way the guy deserves 10.
It's up to Kuchar to pay him whatever he wants to pay him. Is it a bad look? Absolutely. But it's still Kuchar's money.
Okay.
And you know who loves money? Matt Kuchar. Matt Kuchar's wife.
That's the other part. There were other PGA Tour players on the internet that I don't want to say were confirming the story, but were very much fueling it. I want to say like ex-player Cameron Piercy, Colton Nose, like a lot of people were like this.
So a bunch of jabronis are coming after Matt Kuchar, is what you're saying.
But why would anyone go after Matt Kuchar?
I don't know. Maybe people don't like Matt Kuchar. Maybe his public persona
and I do
is
like
not,
that
is
there's
not his
one
private
reporter with the balls to ask him about
As
it.
they should. That's what people should be asking. That's the only story around this.
And
hey, Kuchar, you're winning, and we have this story. If Kuchar wasn't winning, do you think this comes up?
Yeah.
You do? Comes out this weekend, or do they wait till he's in contention for something and then bring it up?
I don't know, man. If this was their Gilly's big gun pulling it out at the Sony, then good. I don't know. I don't know if this is like some hit piece waiting for him to be in contention. Wouldn't you wait for someone better than Andrew Putnam to be behind him by 2 strokes? Because Putnam didn't play well. While Kuchar was fading, Putnam was only like 1 under. And he was winning by 1 because Kuchar's 2 over or whatever it is. On a course where you could get a 3-4, like Putnam never really played that well. He was saving par.
That was the whole thing.
So you could argue he was getting, I don't want to say lucky. I mean, he's an amazing golfer. But, you know, he wasn't playing great, and he was allowing, he's like letting Kuchar hang around where all Kuchar had to do was get one, like, good vibe moment, and then you obviously, the scorecard showed as the back 9.
Yeah. And
Kuchar
Putnam really did me a solid, too, because I had a head-to-head on Sunday with Shez versus Putnam, and then Putnam somehow...
So you hold on, though.
But Putnam didn't end up birdieing 18, so I won the Shez bet. It was
I
great.
need to just confirm, you back that he would have, if he gave him 3K after winning the golf tournament?
If that's what they had agreed to beforehand. I mean, if it was me, I probably would have gave him more if I won, but if it's like, hey, it's $3,000 either way, which is probably a big payday. Be perfectly honest with you. And if he does go miss the cut, you know, the normal caddy, if you got your 10% or whatever, just get $0.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a scumbag because I'm only saying this guy should have gotten 3%. And I'm the one because people are like, he can't have that much money. I'm like, if Kuchar's afraid, or if the story is like you're afraid to give a guy like 20K because he lives in a bad part of town or whatever.
Or the story is just say I gave you 3K and like here's the rest.
Sure, I don't know if that's like a real thing. That's a thing. Like if it's actually like a sketchy thing, I'm sure there's ways where he could pay him like in perpetuity, like 3K a year for like 12 years.
Yeah, or pay 3K to like 5 of his family members.
Or like I don't know if he has
like
a daughter, like pay for her to go to like I don't know. Kuchar's been around the game way too for me to like. I can't believe it. The one that's with the most pub that's pushing it is the no laying up guy, Carter.
Was he on the scene at Sony?
Yeah, apparently, and they apparently are doing like a whole show. I mean, because he's taken so many, like he's doing. I think they did a whole show. I'm sure lots of people who are watching this are very familiar with them. Probably listen to them. They do, it's a completely different operation. The whole thing is to be inside the ropes. Ours is
ours is just sitting here just talking about odds.
Like I don't
speculating.
And he's not like known as a rumor monger either. And no laying up isn't known. Like they don't like have an agenda.
Yeah, they're not Barstool.
Like they are inside. They're not Barstool. They have a lot of like hookups, so they wouldn't like want to.
Yeah, why would you box out? Why would you try to sever any sort of relationship for something that wasn't true?
Yes, because they have.
I understand that
great
point.
Relationships.
I mean, I honestly just don't care. But I also sit here and back Patrick Reed and think it's hilarious he stole watches from people. just because this is the part of the entertainment that I like. So I like controversy around this stuff.
it's-
I'm not a good moral gauge of this.
What's
though.
also really funny though was the things like, what a crazy world, and I haven't seen
You know
anyone
what? I like
say
Matt
this.
Kuchar. I've bet him 3 times in the past 3
That's all
events,
that
and he's
matters.
won twice.
And why did we like Patrick Reed? Because we hit him in Doral, or we hit him in Hawaii. Like we hit.
If you win, you're good with me, and I had money on you. We are fantastic.
And so obviously the love affair has to stem from something like that, Pat.
Well, maybe Kuchar was like, listen, here's the move. I'm going to give you $3K, but here's another $3K to bet on me to win this tournament, and I'm just going to go win. Dan, you got a lot of money because he was like 60-1.
That would be an interesting proposition. But here we are in 2019. And it's funny, like we could have like some role reversal where Kuchar's a bad guy and Phil's a good guy.
I mean, I'm kind of on Team Phil now. I've really done. I'm not quite at 180 yet. I'm at like 150 degrees, but I've really turned on Phil.
Well, you got to see, is he still going to be as like cute and charming
I hope so.
in 19 as he was post his incident?
I mean,
Because I liked
it was the incident that turned it around for me. I loved it.
Yeah, but
I
then,
want to see more
but
of
then
it.
came the shirt. Then he like was dancing and like.
Then
like,
he did the gambling thing with him
yeah.
and Tiger, which was horrible, but I still enjoyed anyway because we won money on it with Phil.
So they say that's coming back, and there might be like ancillary pieces.
Yeah, good. I think it's
which is
something-
smart. They
I
realize.
think it's something. I think it's a cool concept. It's
Yeah.
something to build on. And Turner and TNT, and of all the broadcast networks, have already started incorporating gambling into their broadcasts. I saw NBA stuff where they were showing live lines of different games while the game was going on. Introduce that into golf. Whoo! That's why they need to hire us to do the commentary for it, so you don't have a whole bunch of old fuddy-duddies who don't know what the fuck is going on. You can be like, yeah, here's the live line. Leishman's minus 105 to make birdie on this hole. He's whatever. And to win the hole straight up, here are his odds versus the other two. Here's what he's done on this hole in the past. It'd be perfect. Fantasy National would really be a good sponsor for that because Fantasy National would just have all the tools right in front of you to tell you exactly what the odds would be.
So did we do a half hour because this tournament sucks?
Yeah,
or
basically.
because we
I saw-
actually had lots to talk about?
There was a lot to talk. There's frankly a lot to talk about, and it's a good time to get a lot of the golf out of our system before Tiger comes back and it becomes a Tiger. We can do this for Tiger, the cheering, but it's like a double hand job for Tiger.
What is his odd at Torrey? Because a lot of guys are there.
Yeah,
Like, who's the favorite at Torrey? Rom?
I don't know exactly who's playing.
Who will be
'Cause Dustin's in Abu Dhabi this week, so I don't know if he's going to play Torrey. I'm assuming maybe he will. A lot of them just make the trek back. So you'll see like Ricky, Spieth. Tiger will be 14-1, 12-1.
Decky plays Torrey.
Yeah, 12-1, 14-1. I don't know if he'll be the favorite. Rom will probably be the favorite. Especially, well, it depends on what he does this week, obviously. I do have one more story, though. Ho Sung Choi, playing Pebble Beach, got an invitation. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure he's probably playing with like sure, like the executive at like Hyundai wanted him in.
Or maybe
something.
he's just an AM and they compare him with like Tiger. So just get him some extra screen time. Who does Tiger? I guess Tiger
Probably
doesn't
plays
play
like
Pebble.
Phil Knight, or like if he did, he would play with like someone he's friends with in the corporate world. He's not
Tiger
just
would.
getting randomly.
Yeah, it's like Phil plays with the president of KPMG. And
Yeah.
Duh Points just plays with Bill Murray every year. Because they won together. Who does like Ray Romano play with? Like, do they have particular people? Like, who does Belichick play
They
with?
probably usually have the same guys now.
Yeah.
So now, like Chris Berman played with like JJ Henry forever.
Chris Berman still allowed to play?
Yeah, probably. I have no idea.
I don't know if he does play or not. All right, let's
Clint
get
Eastwood played until he was like older.
Clint Eastwood's going to be around for this one, too. This is in Palm Springs. So let's talk about it. The Desert Classic.
Yeah, he's like the king of Palm Springs.
Yeah, he was the former mayor of Palm
It's like
Springs.
a lot of it's like a lot of wealthy people have beautiful.
Well, this is
homes there.
also a pro-am, too, which people always forget. It's just you've never heard of any of the AMs.
The
Although Carlton might show up because he shows up to like the web.com AMs. But
this might the worst of the year
this is the worst tournament of the year, by far.
on multiple levels.
It's bad on paper in terms of who's playing in it. It's bad. It's the worst for TV coverage. Like,
and it's the worst for
if you-
tracking.
And if you want to follow along, oh, friends, it is not good news. It's also bad for in-play wagering as well. I'll get to that in a second, and I'll tell you why. But I do want to let
and it's
everyone...
bad for first round leaders.
Yeah, most books won't even offer first-round leaders on this one, just because it takes place at 3 courses. But before we get going, I want to tell everyone to smash that like button, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section, and tell me who would be your one-and-done pick for the Desert Classic. And boom, you're in a draw for 20 DK bucks. And don't be afraid to review the show for the audio podcast. Spread it around the Twitters and the Facebooks and the Instagrams or wherever you do your social mediaing. If it's Reddit, I mean, we have no presence on Reddit whatsoever. If anyone out there is on Reddit, like golf Reddit, throw up the show.
We don't have a presence in Jets Reddit.
We might have a presence. Tim has a presence in Jets Reddit. I don't think our show has a whole lot of relevancy in the Reddit world of golf.
I mean, you're a fan
fantasy sports.
of like a lot of things. I'm not even taking this to sports because I'm sure there's forums for your favorite shows. Like, I've never been in a Reddit forum in my life.
I have. I'll deep dive. If there's something I want to know that the mainstream fake news media won't cover, I'll just go to Reddit and find out what's going on. I watch a lot of The Challenge. And there's a lot of like people just mysteriously disappearing from the challenge. Like, what happened? Like, it never gets reported, but people find out, and then they just post it on there.
Okay, fine. But, like, in particular, like, I've never been on one of my favorite teams' Reddit threads ever. No. I imagine those people are crazier. They're crazier than the people on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
People are out there probably think I'm crazy.
You are pretty crazy.
Just in, like, a small window.
Okay. Courses and stats for the week. There are 3 courses in play. So there's 156 players in the field.
I've never called a radio show in my life.
Please let me finish. I'm doing the spiel. People get very upset when they don't hear the field and the cut rules and stuff like that. And you're here cutting me off.
I know these things.
They do. Okay, please tell me. Tell me the cut rules and the field size for this tournament.
Just give it to us. I tap. Go.
It's a very particular
You're right.
one.
I'm an idiot and crazy.
But you just said you weren't.
I've never called a radio show in my life. Never typed on a board ever.
Even Tim knows how to use the boards. That's where he gets all his Jets info from.
You're not implying I don't know how to use them.
I know.
Okay.
Those are Tim's friends. But Tim doesn't actually post. This was revealed one time. Tim doesn't actually post on the fan message boards. He just scans them, reading what other people write. He doesn't even...
Like, there's no new information out there that isn't...
No, it's like crazy
Or it's
people.
made up information. Like, I know my cousin knows the GM's sister, and they're...
It's that stuff. But Tim doesn't even actively engage. He's a very passive member of the Jets message board community. And Notre Dame, too. And maybe whoever is one and done in pick is this week. We don't know it yet, but at Tim Anderson 87, if you want to know who's cursed for this week. He's already last in the one and done. Between us 3.
Hopefully Hideki got home alive.
Yeah.
Because he didn't fall off a cliff in Hawaii. Yeah, as yet to be reported.
Yes, this is true. So the tournament itself, there are 3 courses. It's a rotation. So there's 156 players in the field. There's no cut until after round 3. So everyone in the field gets to play each of the courses once. Now, here's the problem. You have the main course, which is the Pete Dye Design Stadium course at PGA West. It's a par 72, 7,113 yards. It was 36 of 51st in difficulty last year. It's the hardest of the 3 courses. It's all Bermuda grass. And this one actually has cameras and shot link. So when you're going through, you can really kind of figure out, like, hey, if you want to see how far a putt something was. If you want any strokes gain metrics, the only thing that you're going to find them for is this course. The other 2 courses, one is the Jack Nicklaus designed and aptly named Nicklaus Tournament course. It's very easy, 50th of 51st in difficulty last season, so people just light it up, as I joked in my column, and I do this with Pebble Beach as well, that all these courses are just like every girl I dated before my wife, short and easy. No reaction from you on that one. Thank you. Par 72. They're all par 72s. Then you have La Quinta, also a par 72. This one is under 7,100 yards. 51st of 51 in courses in difficulty. It already looks like it's going to rain a little bit. So the course might be softened up. There's a ton of water on the Pete Dye course. There's sand all over the Pete Dye course. The Pete Dye course is the one that can actually play hard. But remember when Adam Hadwin was on 59 watch here 2 years ago, and he got the 59, and they didn't have a camera on him until the 17th hole?
Running out of like a still cam.
Yeah. So there's no cameras unless Phil is playing and Rom is playing. They'll follow like those guys periodically around, but there's no shot link data. So even when you're looking at key stats for the week, I still have pounded up the key stats, and this is where it hurts in-play wagering, like head-to-heads, 3 balls, that kind of thing, because the best thing to do is use a site like Fantasy National, see who's putting well versus who's not putting well. Anyone who's putting poorly and hitting approaches well, bet on those guys against whoever the next day. You're going to win like 65% of the time in head-to-heads. And in 3 balls, you're going to get juiced odds, and you'll be like a 47% winner, and with the odds, you'll be good. For this one, it's impossible to do because if you play the tournament course or you play the Nicholas course or La Quinta, you don't have that information and you can't visually see what's going on. So you just have to trust what shows up on the scorecard. So you're going to have some guys making like triple bogeys that didn't make triple bogeys when it comes on like your Twitter feed on PGA birdies and bogeys. So there's going to be like 5 hole-in-ones that get reported that aren't hole-in-ones. It's just a shit show week when it comes to this. So if you do want to play like head-to-heads and anything like that, I would just say do it the day after the people play the stadium course when you actually have real data to go on. So anyone that plays it day 1 and the tee times aren't out yet, that on day 2, that's when you can play head-to-heads with those guys. That would be my advice for in-play wagering as it pertains to that. But it's horrible to watch and it's horrible to follow. And you have the 54-hole cut. And there's a weird rule too. The MDF rule for this one's even more fucked. So it's top 70 and ties make the cut after 54 holes. However, if the MDF gets engaged at 70, if more than 78 players qualify for the cut, this field actually gets shrunk to top 60 in ties for the final round. And they just cut everyone out. Those guys get paid, they get their FedEx Cup points, but they don't get to play. So for DraftKings, it's crazy, especially for like weekend and showdown contests. It's just nuts. I told you it was complicated.
I apologize for interrupting you. I'm sorry. I do recall, though, there is always a couple holes on those other 2 courses that do have like 2 still cams set up. Because even when they do want to show that good player on that course, although I'll be honest, outside of Rahm and Rose, I don't know that there's...
They'll follow around Phil. They always follow around Phil.
See him, he's far down there. No one is almost worthy of seeing anything, but you'll see a guy hit a shot to like 3, like let's say the leader's out there, he's like 8 under, and they want to show you something from his round. They'll show you this great iron shot he hit to like 2 feet, but the camera will be from like so far, like you can't even see the shot the highlight they're showing properly because it's just like one still camera that's like at one end of the green, like pointed at the hole.
But the thing is, just set one of these up at every hole, then you have all 18 holes.
This is PGA engineering.
Tough to figure out. So if it's a week you want to skip, I don't hate skipping it. Not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna skip it, but it's a good one to take off.
I joked with you that like I really wanted your wife to have the baby, like so you don't have to do this over Torrey. Like to do a show for this and not Torrey Pines would feel like a real
kick in the pants, yeah. And like the field is especially weak this year. Like it's one of the worst fields I've seen for this tournament because next week starting at Torrey, and we went over this on the season preview show, it's then just a murderer's row minus the Valspar until the Masters. That people are just going to be playing, so no one is playing here. And the past 9 of the past 10 winners at this course played one of the 2 Hawaii events. The only one who didn't was Bill Haas, the second time that he won here 4 years ago.
Repeat that, sorry. 9
of the past 10 winners played at least one of the 2 Hawaii tournaments. And 4 of the past 5 winners of this event came top 20 in one of the Hawaii tournaments and went on to win.
And we just came off a week where that was a big stat that you hyped all week. A lot of people on Twitter
did you see who came 1,
it.
2, 3 in the tournament? All guys that played at TOC. No. And I think I released it last night. I think it was 11 of the top 18 finishers. Everyone inside 10 of the top 15 finishers all played the week before. Now, some people will say it's because they're better players, which is true. But not all of them, like TPJ, who had an epic meltdown on one of the holes.
But we got to stop. Well, I only can't take him seriously because he looks like
your
my
buddy
who's Haynes. Like, I can't explain Hainzer with words, but you wouldn't think Hainzer would win at anything. So it's like I can't look at Ted Potter and think he's going to win it. And I love Hainzer. It's my guy.
I like Ted Potter.
I know, but every time, like last week, we were talking about all the guys that were playing and how they had like big numbers.
Like,
And it's like, oh, we're from it. And we like laughed for like 12 seconds and like we moved on.
Yeah, he did 5 putt a hole yesterday, which was just embarrassing.
But like you said, at least for DraftKings,
he played well.
Same as the double bogey when you quad it.
Oh if you want to lose 4 strokes, you're better off making them all on one hole than 4 consecutive holes. So the favorites for this tournament, there are 3 favorites. There's Jon Rahm, the defending champion, at 7-1. We have Justin Rose, the number 1 player in the world, at 9-1. Patrick Cantlay at 16-1. I guess I'll throw Charles Howell in there too, since he's 20-1. Coming off 2 good weeks in a row. Adam Hadwin is the only other player below 30. Just a great track record at this course. He's 25-1. So Rahm, Howe...
Imagine swallowing that.
Yeah, that's tough. Rahm, Howe, and Hadwin are all played either one or both of the Hawaii tournaments. No Rose, no Cantlay. Not to say that they can't win, but if you wanted a reason to choose between the top three, give me Rahm over those two. And Rahm played really well at TOC. He was 8th and just couldn't putt.
Skipping down a point, I do acknowledge I made that exact same comment I made about Hadwin about Woodland 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yeah, he didn't win, though.
He shot a 5 under on Sunday. The guy went bananas. I actually do feel in recap.
You know what we've seen twice so far this season? Xander did it, and then Kuchar did it. The bogey. This time it was on hole 2.
Oh, the early bogey.
The early bogey to set off your round to get going. And do you know where we first saw that? That we first noticed it? Hudson Swafford winning this tournament 2 years ago when he bogeyed 1 and we all thought he was done, and then he stormed back and won.
Justin Rose is an interesting case.
Well, he's playing with those new irons, too. It was like shit in Indonesia or something.
He's not only playing with new irons. This guy, I'm already out. I'm out on him. I was never in because he never won. I mean, listen, I bet losers, and he won a lot, and his world ranking shows.
Yeah, he's world number 1.
I do. This guy's to me, he's changing irons. He's doing these photo shoots that make you want to.
Do you know what he's doing?
Cashed out.
He's cashing in. He's a professional golfer. Cash yourself in. Here's $30 million to use these clubs. Here's $5 million bucks to do this photo shoot. You wouldn't do it?
No, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but we're having a conversation about betting on the guy to win the tournament.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet on him.
That's where I'm just
Rahm would be the only one I would bet on. I'm not betting him 7-1.
I don't think it's a bad number though, but I don't want to swallow it because there's just too much. But I really love Rahm. I call him to be player of the year if he mops this thing. It wouldn't shock me. But what did we say 2 weeks ago? Oh, the tournament, Dustin. I'm scared. And then last week,
Justin
sort of same
Thomas.
thing. Justin, he scares me. The guys play well. Doesn't mean they're going to win. So, that's what it's worth. But I don't plan on having any. You could replay this next week. It'll bite me in the ass. You'll play it after the big events. I'm not betting Justin Rose for anything.
I might bet him to win the Masters, especially if he fucks.
Okay, that's the one tournament.
If he fucks off here for the next few events,
that'd be a great sign.
If he sucks this week and he sucks next week and the week after, then you want to get your Rose money in.
I don't think that's enough to have him.
Oh, especially if Tiger plays well and Tiger goes to
that's
8-1.
Thing.
Whoa, Rose, you start getting at 20 again, perfect. I'm not gonna bet any of the top 5 guys here this week. And fun fact about golf, you don't win every week. And part of that is I rarely bet the guys at the very top of the board, and if they win, I lose. That's why the each ways come in handy. So the next grouping of guys here, the middle tier, you got putt. Okay, go ahead.
Cantlay is so...
He is geared to win this tournament, but there's a lot of sand.
Didn't he play great here in his rookie run?
No, that was Valspar. He played this as an AM years ago.
He's a California kid. I'm not sure what part. The fact that it's his first event, but I don't know. He's geared to win. Granted, he's only won some jobber tournament. I think he's geared to win big events.
I would be more inclined, and I'll talk about this more on the DraftKings show because I think that's where this more applies because I'm not going to bet any of them. But I would definitely take Cantlay over Rose.
It's not even close. Rahm, Cantlay.
Yeah.
But they're hard. They're hard to bet. I think Cantlay's going to have a monster season. You should just hope when he plays well, it's on the other courses, so you don't have to watch him because he's slow AF.
Okay, yeah, he's super slow. Well, let me ask you this: how much better, percentage-wise, do you think Patrick Cantlay is than a guy that we all loved last year, Das Wunder kid, Joaquin Niemann? How much better is he?
I don't know if he's 4 times better. Is that what
that's what the question is? Because they do things very similarly. They're both really excellent ball strikers. They fit this course really well. Kid might be
a better putter.
He has not been. Has been the thing, and he especially has not putted well on Bermuda. Although this is Bermuda with Poet Trivalis or something, so it's a bit slower than average. I'm just saying. I don't think that Cantlay has a 4 times better chance of winning this tournament than Joaquin Niemann does. And they both statistically line up very,
Do you
want to
play Joaquin Niemann?
Yeah, I believe I said before the year, every time he's over 40, I'm going to bet him.
Well, that was and I don't know if you remember, we had this, I think, over 40 rule with Cantlay last year.
Yeah, and I didn't do it at Riviera, and it almost bit me in the ass.
Yeah, and I got mad on the show that week. I'm like, we got to do it. Him and that was an annoying finish, but I can back that sort of logic. You want to post these big numbers, fine. And
everyone's forgotten about Niemann now. He's no longer. Everyone's a big on Cameron Champ, whoever since he's been Andrew cursed has not been good. not been good at all.
Also, it's 16-1. I mean, it's easy to say.
It's a short number.
It's easy to
For a guy who's
say.
won once ever.
It's easy to say on a Thursday this comment because you always want to win. You even want a 2-1. But I don't know what I'd do with that to even win enough where I'll, like, if he wins, like, how mad will I be?
Yeah, if he wins, he wins. Good on Cantley. We both like Cantley, so it's good. So the next middle range, this is where it starts to get a bit interesting. This is why you got to follow me on the Twitter machine, because I gave out some of these odds earlier in the day when they were better, and now they got bet down. Putnam at 30 coming off the second place. Wise Answer at 35. Answer, I got at 40 earlier. That's one of the ones that I gave out. Phil's at 40. Shez is at 40. Then we got my main man, Luke List, 45, along with the Glove. Brian Harmon, they're all at 45. Palmer, Spawn, coming with some engagement swag over the weekend. He's at 50. So is Sung J M, CT Pan, Hudson Swafford. Then you got Zach Johnson, Berger, Uline, all at 55. Then you have a collection of guys that we really like. Neiman at 60, Warinsky, Uline, Hostler, Charles, and our main man, Jeffrey, Danny Willett, 60-1.
I've bet Willett at 80.
Oh, there you go. So he's already down too. So the two that I wanted to give out right away, the two that I'm really big on for this week, and I got you on Swafford a bit earlier.
I was running errands. You texted me. I'm just like, just fine. Do it.
Fire it, yeah.
I trust you. You're telling me it's going to.
It's going to drop. It's already dropped 5 points. I got it at 55. It's now down to 50. I think that everyone's going to be on Swafford this week, so I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that close at 40 or even 35 based on the strength of this field.
He's won here 2 years ago. He's playing well.
And just the way that he played last week really was like, ooh, here we go.
Yeah,
that looks pretty good.
Yeah,
and I like Answer. Answer led the field. The Mexican Allen Iverson.
Well, have you seen his?
He's the answer. And he gained the most strokes with his driver of anyone in the field last week. And he's not really a bomber, but he finished top 20 in driving distance and second in driving accuracy. And ball striking is so key here that if you've seen so many different styles of players win here over the years. Like you have Rahm and Swafford, they're both bombers. But then you have like Reed, Pat Perez, Brian Gay.
We won with Bill Haas here.
We won with Bill Haas
where
here.
He had a different hero. I mean, he has his playoff cup hero shot, but it was
super
crazy.
long.
No, was it Duffner?
No, it was Duffner from the Rocks.
Yeah, sorry, that's the guy we hit. Yeah,
over Lingmerth.
Yeah.
In the playoffs. So that was 2 years. But Duffner, also a very long hitter. But if you're going to take one of these short hitters, you better fucking make sure they're accurate. You can't be really a sprayer here, which is really strange that Reed won. He just got dialed in with wedges that week and couldn't miss. But generally speaking, you have like your slightly average length players that are also highly accurate. And the Bombers here, this is one of the shortest driving courses. So Pebble Beach is the shortest average driving distance of any course because guys have to lay up with the way that it's situated. The stadium course is actually the second lowest in terms of driving distance. So your big Bombers, your Roms of the world, your Rose, even your Cantlay, they're going to have to take some juice off the tee on anything but the par fives, which is really going to increase their accuracy. So I would lean Bomber here a little bit, but I think the gap is really small because there's not a ton of eagles made on these par fives that some weeks, like when we see with Torrey Pines next week, you're going to want a guy who fucking bombs it off the tee. And this week, it's not as big of a deal here. It's more mitigated. So Answer at 40, Hudson Swafford at 55, and I would play them both at the 35 and 50 numbers. And Neiman at 60, because I said it.
So Answer, I guess, off air led to our conversation. You each way at 40.
I each weighted him at 40, yes. So I will get half my bet is on the 40-1 for the win, and half my bet is on 10-1 for the top 5. But there's no steadfast rule.
I like the answer. I like the Answer call a lot. What's his? He's got. What did he finish last week?
Not great. Because he couldn't putt.
He's like a win, a third, and like an eighth or something.
He has 3 top 5s in his past 5 starts. He hasn't missed a cut yet. He's played this tournament before, which is nice.
This course does really set up for everything.
He does well. Can he make the putts?
Also, what I like about here when I'm picking these guys, and there's a few of them that really catch my eye in sort of this range. There's only 2 guys at the top. Like Answer's winning and he's playing great, but I almost want to pick a different name. I'm randomly going to throw out like Corey Connors.
Okay.
Who's just a little above.
Everyone's going to be. I'm struggling.
Okay, let me pick a bat. Okay, I want to go to Warinsky. I want to go. Okay, Warinsky.
We'll talk
you already
about
mentioned him.
We'll talk about Connors shortly.
I have if it's not Rahm or Rose, like no one or Phil, there's not really any guys here that you should be worried about that your 80-1 can't like close off.
Yeah, I'm not sweating. Oh, this is
And I
gonna
don't-
like to kill me. I'm not sweating Charles Howell. I'm just not. If he
No, I get
wins,
that.
he wins.
But even Patrick Cantley, like if he's tired of the guy, you don't like fear that he's going.
hell, Landry almost held off Rahm last year in this spot.
And Rahm was like one. I mean, the field was also pretty weak last year. Could argue it's stronger this year with Rose because I
Yeah.
don't think he's played in it before.
Yeah,
But
Rahm
yeah,
was-
Landry has to go to bed that night thinking like the one guy in the field who like.
I don't want to be matched up with in a playoff. I got matched up with.
Yeah,
'cause
and he
was by
still
far-
held. It was still like a 3-hole playoff.
It was a long playoff, yeah.
He held him
I think
off.
It was 8 holes. I think it was really long.
It was during NFC Championship Day also.
Yeah, it would have been during championship weekend.
As I remember. So I was sort of preoccupied with football, but I remember that running out. So that's sort of what I like with all those guys. Sticking in that range answer is fine. I'm Luke List. I know there were early 50s.
Yeah.
I don't think 45 or 50, I don't think that would change your tune that much.
I really like List at this course based on what he does. We're back on Bermuda, which I really like.
There's a big if or but coming.
He didn't play one of those 2 Hawaii tournaments.
All right, that's
and he's,
it.
And he's Luke List who can't win anyway. And everyone knows he's like my favorite player. But I might put in like a top 10. I might use him on DraftKings, but
You're not.
I'm not going to bet him 45-1.
Well, there's someone here who I am betting, and I want to start off right. Oh, we didn't actually make the bet, but we still want to start off right. And it's Bo Hostler.
Oh yeah, your main man Bo. He played well here last year.
I think that little place like this, desert course, sets up real good. He is almost hits it like those big guys. I think he can make his way around here making tons of birdies, Pat.
I really like Aaron Wise.
Oh, yeah, that's half the price. It's more like Answer.
I just think he's better. Like,
So you like Wise over Answer?
like Bo Hostler just relies so much on putting.
We're in a different.
They're all part of the 30 to 60 range.
Okay, fine. I like Aaron Wise too. I also like Abraham Answer.
Kazire was
You like Wise over Answer though?
No, I like Answer over Wise. But I think that they're very comparable. The one problem I have with Aaron Wise was if he doesn't get to like grip and rip his driver, it really limits the impact that he can make because that's by far his best club. Where with someone like Hostler missed at OHL and like even through the swing, he wasn't very good. He was all putting, shockingly enough, in short game. And I went back and looked at the past 6 winners here. They actually average a negative strokes gained around the green. Just because if you're using your strokes gained around the green here, you ain't winning. You need to be hitting it to 20 feet and making putts. Now, he can make the putts, but can he hit it to the 20 feet? That would be the issue.
And win here, you're also hitting it to like 4 feet.
He also didn't play one of the Hawaii tournaments.
So speaking of Hawaii, then, like, are you fixating on Harmon?
Why would I fix it? Harmon was terrible.
But he played.
I would much rather take Kazire at the same number.
Over M?
Over Im, yeah. Im was really good off the tee last week, but a lot of it was putting. So was Kazire, in fairness. But Kazire's actually won before. He's played both of the events so far. He came top 15 in both.
Did Kisner get MDF, or did he play the Sunday?
No, he played. He faded late on Sunday. This does strike me as like a Kisner course, though. Although Kisner and Kuchar might be the same player. The one thing we didn't note with Kuchar is he's now won at OHL, Heritage, the Players' Championship, Sony Open, and he's won at Honda. Just coastal courses.
Memorial.
Bermuda coastal courses. I think that Memorial's actually bent grass. I could be wrong on that, but generally speaking, he's coastal Bermuda. That's when you fire up Kuchar. So don't give Kuchar a look again till we get to Florida, and that's probably it.
I know he's got a bit of a shorter number, but for all this love for Swafford, no Shez at 40?
Shez is so tough to wrap your mind around.
Oh, because he just dunks out from the fairway?
Yeah, like I guess we probably should have brought that up during the recap, but 3 hole-outs from beyond 100 yards in one round, like it really skews his stats in a way that they're hard to interpret.
Okay, fine.
So if you just said that they didn't go in the hole, right?
And they were like 3-footers?
Or they went to like 1 inch, he would still be really good at approach. I'm interested in Shez a lot.
I like Shez over Wise. Maybe not.
Maybe. So Shez.
Wise is so good.
So last week, Shez gained 8.2 strokes on approach and gained off the tee. And he's the type of short-hitting accuracy player that you would want to target here if you want a shorter hitter. But, I don't know, did he just hit the nuts with his irons last week and still couldn't win? That's what would worry
I
me.
take that back. I'd actually rather bet Wise at 5 less points.
But I think this is the range that I want to be in here. Like I said, I already have Answer. I already have Swafford. Like, I could complete my card and just say, you know what? I'll take Wise, Shez, and Kazire, and that would be the end of it, along with Neiman. Those are my 6 guys. I really wanted to bet Joel Damon, but he withdrew. He was 175 to 1. I even had written up and everything. Like, is this a week to go back to Sam Ryder? It's a great week. Like, he statistically still rates out really well. He just had a bad week. A bad second round at the Sony. And then all of a sudden everyone's going to be off him. Like, what are his odds? I didn't even see him on this list. He's 140 to 1. He's a guy who could win here. He has the skill set.
That's a pretty big number because he was like 90, 100 last week.
Yeah, and no matter, like, I
would say last week was a better field. There was a lot more guys at the top.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, just think of the names that were under 30 to 1 last week.
And here's the little sneaky thing about him. I'm just looking past 24 rounds, so a very short sample.
140, that could be... I'm going to put a star.
Sam Ryder rates out number 1 in my custom stat model over the past 24 rounds. It's Sam Ryder, Patrick Cantley, Shez Reavie, CT Pan, Corey Connors. Those are the top 5 of my short-term modeling. And when I look at that, par 4 scoring, off the charts for Sam Ryder. Really good out of the sand, Sam Ryder, where if you get yourself into problems, that's where you can do it. And he's still top 35 and off the tee over that time as well. So I think we'll eventually talk about bombs, but I didn't realize he was so far down the list. He reminds me of what Andrew Landry did last year. He's that type of player.
If you would have said guess what he's up, I would have thought what he did last. I would have said 90 to 1. So based on that, just like when you bet football, what do I think the line is going to be? You make it in your head. You look at the line. Maybe you think you have something, even though you usually don't.
Oh, go ahead.
Uline doesn't move any needles, or just because he hasn't played?
He hasn't played.
Because I feel like he loves a desert course.
I really tried to stick with that philosophy last week, and I feel like it really worked out. And listen, a lot of these guys who didn't play in Hawaii come second. It's not that big of a deal if you didn't play, but just it's weird that 9 of the 10 winners are warmed up. It's the same reason that the guys who play TOC do well at Sony, because they've actually played a round of competitive golf more than 3 months ago.
I'm just looking for a reason not to bet Chesson Hadley.
He hasn't played yet. And he's shit at this course. I believe he has lost the 5th most strokes of any player in the field.
I like that guy.
Do you know who is in the field?
Hunter Mahan.
Hunter's actually a surprising one here, but yes, he is in the field.
175 to 1. There's a star beside it for me.
Here's a guy.
Yeah.
Now, what would you set the line at? I set this on Twitter last night.
I'm not going to look down.
Who makes more money? Where does this player make more money? From the golf tournament or Uber surge pricing during Sunday?
Oh, he's not here.
He is. Weir's playing.
You cut him off.
I cut him off the list because he was like 3,000 to 1 or something.
What's funny is, remember like 2 or 3 years ago, he had some really
we had one good tournament.
One good tournament. He's still
the one that Brendan Todd won.
I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Mike Miller. Someone made a joke because they do extensive, deep dives. They go way deeper into the waters than I'll ever swim. Noted that we're still getting like semblances of world ranking points from that one weekend that's keeping him alive. Mikey's just fighting the father time till he's old enough for champions.
Yeah, he's close now. I think he's 48.
He's been talking about it for a couple of years. It's just
I feel bad. Like, he's the best Canadian golfer of all time. We're Canadian. Him winning the Masters is one of the greatest sporting moments I've ever watched. But stick to Uber, man.
I was at the Leaf playoff game the week after he won the Masters.
Did he drop the puck?
And literally it was. The pop was essentially as if Stone Cold's glass just shattered.
I can see it.
What year was that?
2003.
So
on my birthday, 2003.
Yeah, so I've been late 90s, early 2000 would have been at the wrestling. But yeah, it was literally the loudest pop ever heard. In Air Canada Center, that place doesn't cheer for at least hockey.
This would be a very interesting list to talk about. Probably one to include Tim into. That if you just take hockey out of it, because that's the only thing Canadians are really good at, that and curling in terms of athletics. That you have these weird pockets of individual, or Steve Nash in basketball.
Yeah, Justin Morneau. Although we've had good baseball, we
we're
were able,
okay at,
yeah.
But Larry Walker's still the best Canadian baseball player ever. Let's consider Ferguson Jenkins. It's probably
even though Fergie's in the Hall of Fame, I think Walker gets
better.
a raw Hall of Fame. Well, I don't know. His numbers don't get.
Yeah, but
I'm not doing any baseball Hall of Fame debates.
Joey Votto, even Russell Martin's been pretty good.
Yeah, there's always guys.
Nash in basketball was clearly above the rest. You have Mike Weir for golf.
Well, like before Nash, it was like Bill Wennington and like Rick Fox had some Canadian affiliation.
Yeah, he had been to Canada once, so he was considered Canadian. It's just Weir is on that pantheon of like top 5 people of like random other sports that are just you're shockingly good at. So no diss to Mike Weir. Just he's lost 33.28 strokes here over the past 5 years, and he's only played it 3 times. So that's not good. Chesson Hadley though has lost the 4th amount of strokes of any player in this field over the past 5 years, minus 19.8 strokes lost. He's missed the cut 3 times, and his best finish was last year at T42, which is strange because it really does seem like it would suit him well. Of everything we've talked about, doesn't this seem like a Chesson Hadley course?
That's why I need a reason not to bet him.
But
And
anyway,
you're
that would be my case against Chesson Hadley.
So Daniel Berger shows up.
How's your burger?
I don't know. Apparently, he was injured a lot last year, which I guess makes sense. Outside of a crazy Saturday at the U.S. Open, I think his year was pretty much a disaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he got the easy.
This number has already been keeps getting higher from the 2 times I've looked today.
What did it open at?
I saw 40.
Now it's 55.
I don't know if it was a 55 on this book. Maybe this book always had 55, but I saw 4. And then I saw it at least at 55. I don't know. It's hard to bet him. It's hard to want to bet him.
If you just take it based on talent level,
Well, then it's a great bet.
and that would be the whole reason to get on. It's the same reason I ended up on Papa Shango last week on DraftKings in the Sony. He was just mispriced versus world ranking, and he was pretty good. Out of all the $6,800 guys to really peg down, Keith Mitchell was better, but he was still pretty good.
Yep.
And if we just look at world ranking and actual skill set versus this field, Berger at 55 is good. Better on Bermuda, too.
I think people made that same logic when they bet Adam Scott last week.
Yeah. Did not turn out well.
His talent is the 9th best guy in the field, but I don't know. He's 65 to 1.
Has he played recently?
Scott?
No.
Berger.
Berger, yeah.
No, he's hurt. Apparently, he.
When was the last time he played?
You tell me.
I gotta go look this up. I thought maybe you were gung ho on it. I thought maybe
No, but I know that he played a lot last year for no good reason. Apparently hurt, and he finally shut it down, and now he's back. So I imagine he didn't play a ton.
Last time he played was Dell. He gained 5.9 strokes on approach that week. Came 35th. Came 15th. The Northern
and Dell
Coast.
eliminates him.
Yeah, he was done at
So
Dell.
he didn't
He came 15th in the first leg of the playoffs, 35th in the second leg of the playoffs, but then he was done. The guy couldn't putt over the second half of the year.
I'm gonna think about this one.
I'm going to think about this now, too.
Because
And Baroff, I've really been enjoying Baroff's Twitter recently now that he's gone full heel. It's terrific.
it's weird.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I can't get enough of it.
I like all the.
Shout out Golflandia. Listen to Baroff on there, probably Monday night after you listen to
I
this.
wanted to say, well,
However,
Wiley can't stand those rose photo shoots either.
okay, who cares?
They're,
It seems like a weird thing to be bent out of shape about.
no one's been out of shape about it.
It sounds
but-
like you're kind of bent out of shape about it.
No, I'm not.
It sounds like
I'm just not gonna pick him to win anything.
okay. All right,
He's gonna win.
with Berger because Baroff's already been railing against how Matthew Fitzpatrick's going to win this week in Singapore or something like that. And those two always get put together. Berger and Matthew Fitzpatrick, the overrated players that aren't actually any good. I actually think Berger's good and much better than Matthew Fitzpatrick, but it's a deep odd for a guy.
And what you are telling me, so I had this because I sort of took a shot at him because there were obvious people who had bad years last year, your Fowlers or.
Fowler didn't have a bad year.
Sorry, I gotta rephrase this. There were obvious people who weren't at the Tournament of Champions, like a Fowler, like a Spieth, like a Finau, obvious people that you would expect to be there. And then I was sort of running through my head, outside of the obvious guys, who, when we did a preview show, 13 months ago, who would I be really shocked to have had as bad a year as they had? And Berger really popped for me. I put that out there. People let me know he was injured. But he didn't end his season on an injury. He ended his season because he was eliminated in the FedEx Cup.
Yeah.
So he played through pain a lot of the year, maybe for a lot of no good reason, but maybe time off, he's ready to go. 55 to 1 is kind of tempting.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the guy that
I'm with you. But if you saw it at 40 and I'm seeing it at 55, it doesn't seem like there's a whole overwhelming ground support to bet Daniel Berger.
I'm not.
It's almost like I haven't bet Neiman yet at 60 because I don't think people are going to bet Neiman, and he might drop to 70. I'll take those extra. If we can get Berger at 60, I'll probably be in. I might even get him at 55. I don't hate that. So that's something that when you check out the cheat sheet on Wednesday, maybe you'll see Daniel Berger's name up there.
You're always a sucker for a Charles bet.
I'm not betting Charles or Willie. Charles been.
I bet Will at 80 to 1.
Yeah, he just hasn't played yet. I like that he's skipping Abu Dhabi to play here, though. It shows his commitment to the PGA Tour this year.
I think he just mixed up the deserts.
Yeah, maybe.
Someone
he just ended up on the wrong side of
like
the world.
Flight booking. Yeah, he's like, well, he's not even registered.
I like Willett more than I like. Like, Charles been bad for like a year.
I don't bet him. He's your guy.
Long shots. 66 to 1. Do you know who I see there who missed the cut on the number last week because he lost 3 strokes putting in 2 rounds? Do you know who that man is?
See woo. Woo! You ready to go? First dip of the year?
First dip of the year, shorter course. Get some wedges on the go. Maybe you can get the hot putter going again.
Okay.
But he hit the ball well off the tee last week, was decent with the approach. Like, hit it really well off the tee, was decent with the approaches, and now we're back to a reasonable number in a much weaker field. I'm in. I believe
For the same price, you can bet Corey Connors.
Corey Connors, I say he's down to 66 already. He's
Crazy, right?
I don't know what to do with Corey Connors. Like, he raced out really well. He's coming off the great week. Everyone's going to be on him.
Yeah.
Doesn't this just reek of +7?
He does seem like to be a darling. Do you know who also rates it well, but I will not bet?
Ryan Palmer?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had great course history, too.
I guess he's 50, but I knew when you didn't bring him up that there was nothing to say. What about that? Listen, what about this sort of like...
Here's the problem with Corey Connors. He gained 2.5 strokes putting at the Sony. Corey Connors, in other tournaments from the course of last year, he multiple times lost more than 7 strokes putting during an event. And that was like through 2 rounds.
See, are you worried...
The guy sucks so much at putting. He just had a good week putting that if it just flips back the other way and like goes really badly and he doesn't gain, 7.1 strokes on approach, then maybe he might not play as well. The odds would make sense. He's 66 to 1. I get it. He's going to be a great value on DraftKings. On DraftKings, he's $7,500. Besides Swafford, he might be the most owned guy on DraftKings this week. And Rahm, maybe. But I don't know. I don't know what to do with him. I think he's a good DraftKings fade. Does that mean I should just bet him? Maybe I'll bet him top 10 or something like that. I don't know. Do you have a feel for him?
He Monday qualified, and there were a lot of people sort of touting him. So I hope what did he finish? He cashed the top 5. So yeah. I don't know. I pick guys as much as like the each ways are fun. I do pick guys who I
Think
like
can
win. And I know you can laugh at that because I bet losers, but that's sort of where I try to stand with most of my bets.
So the other guys from beyond that number, I think we're both in it. Sam Ryder, 140 to 1.
I'm shocked it's that high.
So am I.
To go a little lower,
That'll
like,
be an each
the
way as well.
names, the veteran savvies of like, I'm just throwing 3 names out there: Haas at 80, Duffner 90, Pat Perez 90.
No, they don't do it for me. If we look back, one of the things that I really do like to do is see who gained a bunch of like abnormal amount of strokes putting the week before.
Andrew Putnam.
Putnam and Brian Gay both gained 11 strokes putting.
But at least, Brian Gay, like, that's all he can do.
Yeah, he lost 6 strokes on approach. Putnam's a really interesting one this week. I don't like the 30, but I always do like the guy that comes in second, rebounding the next week.
We've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
What was it?
Wise did it
There
last
were a
year.
couple occasions guys sort of hammer through it.
Yeah, like
when you think like, oh, the opportunities are so finite and they blew it, they seem
Then they're just back.
Yeah, they're just back. I don't want to swallow that number.
Neither do I. So Kuchar was third in putting.
Just bet the guy at 80. I'm not going to bet him at
Brian
30.
Stewart and Charles Howell and Ryan Armour and Munoz were other guys inside the top 10 who really overachieved in terms of putting. Now, if you want to find some guys that were like good with approach that made the cut that like couldn't putt, Scott Piercy. We didn't even really bring up Scott Piercy.
But he can't putt.
No, he can't putt, but maybe he can this week. Right? Right. Maybe he can do it. I feel like he has a good track record here, too. Let's see. Career builder is what it's listed at.
Can I ask you about Varner?
What do you want to know?
Was his last event... Were his last events in Australia?
Yeah. HV3.
And then he had that great finish in the swing, didn't he? He was riding hot.
Did he? I don't remember that at all. Maybe he did, and I just wasn't paying
I
attention.
remember him just remembering that, like, I don't know, he came like second at the John Deere or something.
Yeah, that was last summer.
Or then second something in the I don't know.
He had it going for a bit over the course of the summer. Let's see. What are his results here? He was 6th at OHL. He really should have played last week. 15th at Shriner, 6th at OHL, 23rd at RSM. He's a good player. I like HV3. What are his odds? 80 to 1?
70.
70? I just hate the fact that he didn't play last week, to be perfectly honest with you. He hasn't played either of the 2 tournaments. That would be my hesitation on Berger, too, and would lead me more towards the Kazires of the world.
Did Boz get the money he needed?
I don't think so, because he had a really horrific Sunday.
Guys that played last week that are really deep, I think you could be really onto something with the Ryder.
And he missed the cut last week, which is never a good sign.
JT Poston, 160 to 1.
Nah, I'm not in on him. Like, I'd be more interested in maybe even like Munoz. Jagger actually played quite well. He just couldn't putt all week. He's 275. But, I mean, now we're into the territory of I don't want to bet
I don't even think I mentioned him last week, and he got hype. Ollie.
I thought we were on a no. Like, you know how I feel about Ollie? But I was proud of you that you weren't even
No,
tempted.
I mentioned him today because we recorded our show, we were finished, and like Wednesday on the internet, Tuesday, people are like loving Ollie. I don't know where that came from. It didn't come from me.
You know why? It's because he doesn't wear a hat. If he wore a hat, no one would like Ollie. No one.
They wouldn't like him or they wouldn't know him.
They wouldn't know him or bet him or think that he's good.
Well, what if his name was just like John Catlin?
Yeah, also. Well, John Catlin
is
the last guy I have circled on the list.
I was just looking for like a plain name that doesn't like, and if you didn't have like a standard emoji that looked just like you.
I guess that's true as well. Oh, it's been updated on Fantasy National's Desert Classic. That's why I can't find it. Scott Piercy.
So this doesn't have a sponsor?
No.
Don't events die when they don't have sponsors, or the city just is paying a fortune?
Probably just paying a fortune. This is a very
Palm Springs can afford it. Jim Nance.
This used to be
lives
like the
here.
Bob Hope Open.
Yeah.
And it used to be 5 rounds.
All celebrity. Yeah, the big. It used to be a big deal.
Yeah. So it's not so much anymore. Past 3 years at this tournament for Scott Piercy, 6th, 41st, and 30th. Was really good with the irons last week. Bad off the tee, but really sharp with the irons. So, I mean, I don't hate him either. Like, I would almost be more inclined to bet, like I said, those collection of guys rather than the guys that we're talking about down here, outside of Ryder. Any interest in Landry at 100 to 1?
No.
He was ass last week, but...
Oh, you know...
He's played the last 2 weeks, actually. So, here's my note.
Might not be a bad pick. I mean, he lost in the playoff last year. People were like high on him last week, and now he's going to a course that he's got good history at.
Good vibes at. So, here's my note on John Catlin. If people don't know who he is. Okay, I suppose it could be Caitlin. I think it's Catlin. He's an American player, and he started on the Asian Developmental Tour and played all on the Asian Tour last year. So this is his first stateside PGA event because he played in the CIMB in like Malaysia, then he played in the WGC. He's the 108th ranked player in the world. And this is his first in America PGA Tour event. He won 3 times on the Asian Tour last year, which is pretty good. The guy has closing ability. It's like that Justin Harding guy that we saw from the Asian Tour pop up at the PGA Championship. I don't think I'm going to bet him, but I think he's a very interesting DraftKings play. Nonetheless, he's 200 to 1 to win this tournament. Like, I like him better than Ben Crane and Seamus Power and
For
Aaron
sure.
Badley.
Going down, I didn't ask because I mentioned a couple other. I should have definitely asked instead of like Bill Haas and Pat Perez. I should have asked you about Charlie Hoffman.
He's won here before.
It's a big number.
It's a really big number.
I mean, you're talking about skill and world ranking wise, and the guy's fine. Too bad you can't bet first round. They should let you bet first round leaders per course.
I think some books allow you to do that.
Now, granted, the odds would be like 1/3 of what you would
Normally
be
get.
thinking that you should be getting. But
When do you think the last time Charlie Hoffman had a top 10 finish?
Las Vegas, the Shriners, I don't know. You're gonna go way back. I'm just trying to think of when he played.
The 2017 Hero. The one that Ricky won.
What?
Yep.
It's not a tournament. You're not allowed to count that as a win. I don't count it as a win for Ricky. I can't count that as a top 10 for Charlie.
Okay, so
If I don't even give the guy who won it credit, I'm not giving the guy who came in 10th credit.
so he hasn't then had a top 10 since the 2017 WGC Bridgestone. He went back-to-back weeks. He was second at the Canadian Open, third at Bridgestone. Those were his two last top 10s, 2017.
G-Mac's got to get this guy going. Our buddy who's like friends with him, caddies for him when he comes to the Pro-Ams here. Or not like the Wednesday Pro-Ams. Gets all the Charlie swag bags.
He hasn't had a top 20 since the Open Championship this year. He was
that
17th.
that is insane.
Yeah, so not what you would expect. So
Wow.
I'm on wait-and-see mode with Charlie Hoffman.
Thank you, Fantasy National.
The only other one out of all those 80s that you were talking about, Fratelli is the only one who stands out to me. Smelly Fratelli, only because he played last week and played like pretty well. Like I like him more than the Varners and the Hoffmans and the Denny McCarthys.
Do you want to know something? Do you know who I'm cheering for?
Who?
Fratelli and Hostler. Longhorns, who aren't Spieth.
I thought we just do we do Longhorns versus Spieth, or was it just Hostler versus Spieth?
No, we did Tiger versus Spieth. We couldn't agree on Hostler versus Spieth. We couldn't agree to something because I like made the proclamation that I think Hostler will be the winningest Texas Longhorn this year. You wanted me to bet it. But I wasn't like, because I said it, you thought that I would just like want to pick him. I don't really want to pick him. Even though I feel good about it, I'll just say it and put no money in my mouth on it. What about Spieth last week? Man, should have picked on him. We should have taken those Leishman plus money matchups.
Yeah, we should have. I just faded him everywhere. Like I didn't use him on DraftKings. Like I just wanted nothing to do with him.
He was okay on Sunday.
On Friday. Yeah.
He tried.
Yeah. Well, someone pointed out, someone who was tweeting at me, just like, oh, Spieth not only can't putt because his wife is in his head because he's married now, that like, oh, I haven't seen this guy make a 10-foot putt. Like I watched the entire round, he can't even make a 10-foot putt. And he made like 5 putts from beyond 10 feet. Like he was putting well. It was weird. It was really weird. Like what actually happens versus what people project on what happens, even though they've seen the exact same thing.
Golf, I would say, of all the sports, because I think with all of us, I mean, it's so great to have Fantasy National to sort of take this out of it. But like perception versus reality, because you saw the one, like that one big putt that they let you see the guy make. Didn't show you when he misses like 6 12-footers to save his rounds and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Perception in golf.
Armour's coming off a good week. He's 125.
They put him on 59 watch. Put the next ball in the water.
Yeah.
Was that that was Friday?
Saturday. No, it was Friday, yeah, because I bet against him.
Yeah,
I had 2 like really bad, they weren't bad beats, I just lost. But I had someone in a 3-ball against Armour on Friday, and they played well, just Armour was awesome. And then I had a 3-ball on Saturday. I had Canadian Rogers Sloan to beat Buzzelli and someone else, and Sloan shot 4 under and came last of the group. I was like, what the hell's going on here? It was terrible. And I had Sabatini over Brian Gay. Brian Gay started 4 over through 4 and tied. It was
Who's the other? Shucks. So I'm not even trying to pick on you.
Modeling system loves Anders Albertson. Loves him. He has a very limited sample, but so far through the swing season, 5th, 28th, 55th, 15th. He's been really good, and he's great. Sucks at putting. Great. He's basically Luke List when you look at his numbers. So he's very intriguing at 110 to 1. I don't know if it's 110 you want to play, but a top 5, top 10, top 20, or maybe even something on DraftKings, that is a guy that I would look at. Now you can pick on me for whatever it was.
I don't even remember. Oh, no, I don't want to pick on you.
Okay.
I just can't remember the guy's name, and I know he just played bad. So by me trying to figure out who it was, because you were touting him Saturday morning, he just bottomed out.
Oh, Blum. Ryan Blum.
Is he here?
Is he here?
200.
He's at 200?
Literally put. Oh, wow.
He was only because the stats really pointed to him like he was like top 3 in approach through the first 2 days and one of the last in putting, and then he just lost his ability to hit his irons. He was just bad the rest of the time.
Julian Atulian.
No. Julian Atulian? Julian Etienne? All right, let's get to the picks.
Oh, crap. I should have had a warning.
Picks for with the warning. We've been doing the show for
I know.
an hour and 23 minutes.
Well, I guess I only got to say what's already in, and like you can follow.
Okay, so
it's hard.
The guys that we're on already for the 2019 Desert Classic, my picks cheat sheet will be up on my Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme. On Wednesday afternoon, and my DK cheat sheet will be up on DK Playbook along with the DraftKings show, both on Tuesday. So guys that I'm on already, I got Abraham Answer, 40-1 with the each way. I got Hudson Swafford, 55-1 with the each way, and they're down to 35 and 50 respectively. I would still play those numbers if that's all I had. And I'm on Joaquin Neiman, 60-1 with an each way, but I'm waiting for that number to get a little bit better. Sam Ryder, 140-1. And I'm still in the decision-making process of whittling down who do I like the most between like Wise, Reevy, Kazire, because I think two of those guys could be ending up on the card because I'm fading the entire top of it. And of course, my main man, woo! Kim at 66-1 will find the card as well. He might have better numbers elsewhere though.
Yeah, so last week, I don't know, we were done the recording, and I pretty much had a complete card. It did well, didn't have Kuchar. Putnam, Leishman.
I got Kuchar monies to play with here, but I'm trying to limit myself because I don't love this event.
Howell, I like you. I'm going to be, it's so hard to make the final decisions, but I'm going to be peppering that like 30 to 60 range.
That was sort of my strategy coming into the year. Hit that range.
I'm going to pepper that range, even though,
Fresha Pepe?
Rom, I'd really like to see him do something special. The bets that I have so far are Swafford at 55 and Willett at 80. And you could say the Willett bet was probably just like, I like seeing his name on the page. I thought 80 was a big number. The deep dive numbers he hasn't played yet is concerning.
Well, he has you got him at better odds than he has at the Masters this year, so that's comforting.
Answer and Wise, I'm thinking about. I'm gonna bet Bo Hostler.
Yeah, you love Bo Hostler.
I'm betting Bo Hostler 60-1. I think he could take something good here. But Wise and Answer and Neiman, I'm gonna think about, and guys just in that range. I really like it. And you could be onto something with Fratelli. Double look at that one.
Yeah, I'm going to dig deeper into Fratelli as the week goes along. Again, 8 of the past 9 winners of this event have played at least one of the 2 Hawaii courses. Justin Rose and Patrick Cantlay did not play in those events. Again, it's not to say that they can't win, but you can make a case it's golf. It's like any fantasy sport, anything that you ever want to go on. You can make your cases for and against people, and sometimes you just need something to push you over the edge, because in golf, you can't take everyone. You have to actively fade people, so you need reasons. Those would be my reasons. And new irons for Justin Rose, too. Too much sand for Cantlay.
Too much Instagram for Justin Rose for me.
Okay.
Hunter Mahan, 175. That do anything for you?
No.
At least his caddy got to Kuchar. I mean, this isn't a caddy joke, because I know there's caddy jokes this week, right? The Mahan's caddies went to Kuchar last year.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because Kuchar's caddy.
You'd be surprised how little I care about like who caddies for who.
I think Kuchar's caddy.
That's why people were on Ollie last week, because he has like Zach Johnson's caddy.
Oh, he got the Birdman.
The Birdman, yeah. Really worked out for Ollie. He couldn't stop him from making quadruple bogeys.
Because I think 2 years ago, Kuchar's real caddy's wife passed. So
yeah. Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah. I didn't mean to bring a bummer, but he got a new cat, Mahan. Either way, it was a good move for Mahan's old caddy.
Okay.
And Jordan Spieth hasn't won, I think, since he moved into Mahan's old house.
Okay. So he shouldn't have left the simulator. So he's got the Ace Hardware stink on him now. Maybe that'll be Spieth's next sponsor, Ace Hardware.
Oh my God. That was so good.
One and done picks of the week. I went with Justin Thomas. He did not win, so I've blown Justin Thomas for the year. You went with Leish's Pieces.
Yeah.
Mark Leishman. Cust went with Hideki Matsuyama. You won. I came second. Cust came in third.
I'm going to fire this bullet. I'm going to go with John Rahm. In my Gups Corner one and dones last week, I double-barreled Leishman, which I don't know. I
used Casey. You missed the cut.
I don't want that to be my strategy, so I'm going to go with Rahm, and I'm going to use one of those guys I'm betting on in that 30 to 60 range with my other team. But for us, me versus you, and it will also be an official one and done pick in the corner, Gups, Rahm, throwing that hammer.
So as a part of the rules between us, I can't use the player that you are using that week.
And the guy who did better the week before gets to pick
first. So those are the rules. And then Cuss just makes his pick.
And
follow him on Twitter at TimAnderson87 to find out who is cursed for the week.
Why would you have used John Rahm here?
No, I mean I'm thinking about using him for my other team. But this was kind of thrown out to me just a little bit that, you know, so some people were complaining like, oh, you wasted Justin Thomas. And I thought like, yeah, I mean, as it turns out, I did waste Justin Thomas. Like if Jon Rahm doesn't win this week, you have now wasted Jon Rahm because it's $5.9 million as the purse. It's one of the lowest of the year. However, we don't think that Rose is going to be good just based on lack of activity, new irons, whatever. He's Instagramming too much. That's
me. You
sure, but
that.
like Rahm, if you just take Justin Rose out of the mix and you just like Rose is a really intriguing one and done this week. I'm not going to have the guts to use him, but no one will use him.
What do you mean DraftKings? I guess people expect him to hang around.
Yeah, even on DraftKings, he'll be the least popular of the top 3. But with Rahm, like in these weaker field tournaments, because we're about to get like 10 tournaments in a row where almost everybody, you're going to have like 10 studs every single week to divvy it up. The reason I went with Justin Thomas last week is because he had the best odds to win by a substantial margin last week. At least in my mind, by the betting odds, he was at least a 5-point to 6-point favorite over Bryson DeChambeau. The stats pointed in his direction. He had lined up all year. And the sort of comment that I made was, if Justin Thomas wins the Sony Open, it is better than him coming third at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, of course.
And I get my pick of the litter against him. Now, he didn't win, so it's a stupid pick, and I've burned him. But that was the logic behind it. I think the same logic applies to Jon Rahm this week, because you have such a good player in a place where he's won before. I know he's the defending champion, and it's hard to win back-to-back years anywhere. It's hard to win any tournament. That I just think that it is a savvy move to use Rahm this week. That if a lot of people did it last year, and it worked out for them. You only it's like when everyone used Hideki that year when he won in Phoenix. Everyone used him. And then everyone went back to the well last year and he withdrew. Well, what's the right move? Do you use Hideki or don't you use Hideki? It's tough to say. So I'm not going to be using Rahm. I'll consider him for my second team. I'll use Hudson Swafford.
Are you betting Kim? Did you say him in your?
Yeah, I'm betting Siwoo. I always bet Siwoo.
You didn't. Did you?
I didn't last week. No, he was like 40 to 1 or something. Now we're getting him in a weaker field at a better fit at 66 to 1.
Yeah, good point.
So, and he'll probably, I guarantee you can find a better.
And I'm not kidding. I might have to, because we have extensively sort of joked about it and talked about it. You're going to post Neiman 66s. It's almost like you blindly play them, right?
Yeah.
In these fields.
The way that
when there's no one on Sunday,
when
that
when it's the PGA Championship, it's a bit different.
If he has to go head to head with like JJ Spawn, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Like outside of 2 guys, there's no one I fear anyone I'm betting having to face on Sunday.
Berger's kind of the same way too. He's sort of in that range that if he's just kind of there, he's the last guy on that betting card that's like, so I'm going to dig into him and Fratelli and really make some concrete conclusions. Because if I end up on the Wise train at 35 or Kazire even at 45, then it really limits what I can do down the card. So that's where I'm at.
We went 90 minutes for the worst tournament.
Yeah, we talked a lot about stuff.
That was good. I think people are happy.
We always do, whenever one of us is coming off a win, we always do a longer show because we're in a good mood.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of new followers last night, so thanks for you winning. I think the show, people had Kuchar and Putnam, like, winning, showing me Putnam each ways with their Kuchar winners.
And we had the guy in third, too, so that always helps. So, Geoff Fienberg, follow him on Twitter at GFienberg17. You can follow me at the PME on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Check out my work on DKPlaybook.com. Hit the description to find the link to the Listeners League. And if you are a video watcher, it always appears in the podcast audio version first. So you might want to subscribe to that as well. It really goes a long way to help out. And if you want to get into a draw for $20 DK, smash the like, leave your DraftKings handle in the comments section, and tell me who your one and done is going to be for the Desert Classic. I'm Pat Mayo. Good luck at the Desert Classic. Have some fun this week. Win some cash. Parlay that Matt Kuchar money into something good, all right? I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience! Experience!